New meta. DOJ says campus protester had contact with Hamas. Remember that incredibly schizo lawsuit that was launched? It's from Far Cry 3? No, that's not just from Far Cry 3, chatters. It's not. It's been around since before Far Cry 3, okay? The definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Has been a trope and a stupid fucking quote in perpetuity. It's not just from Far Cry 3. I don't even think it's actually Einstein that said it. People attribute it to Einstein. I don't even know if Einstein actually said that because it's a stupid quote. It's most commonly misattributed to Einstein. Anyway, but it's certainly not from Far Cry 3. It's from Far Cry 2. All right. Anyway, the definition of insanity is trying to defend Israel. That's what the real definition of insanity is. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. And here is a great example. Speaking of Einstein, who was an anti-Zionist by today's definition. Going back to American politics and how insane we have gotten. Here it is. If you recall, a couple months ago, I covered briefly this lawsuit that was launched by one of the hostages that was released that claimed that Hamas was actually flexing that they had a direct line of communication with Students for Justice in Palestine, Columbia University chapter. Now, of course, if you're like a normal person, or if you have any remaining critical thinking skills, you hear something as insane as that and you go, come on, dude. But that didn't stop Zionist groups from advancing this lawsuit. Okay? And in the process of advancing this idiotic lawsuit, they made other erroneous and, dare I say, schizophrenic claims, such as the Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine actually reopened their account or became active on their account right before October 7, which, of course, is there is a very normal reason for such activities of a student-backed Instagram account becoming reactive, like activating their student-based Instagram advocacy group account as the semester starts. But of course, this was used as a way to claim that Yahya Sinwar was in direct contact, or Abu Ubaidah was in direct contact with students at Columbia campus. And now, because we live in upside down world, because we live in a world where insanity is now the new sanity and lies are the new truth, you have official government entities like the Department of Justice operating with these insane fucking claims. And here it is. The Department of Justice, campus protester had contact with Hamas. The Department of Justice is basically like a New York Post writer at this point.
You look at the protests in college campuses, and they say the same thing that these protesters said, that mutant that shot the couple in D.C. that shed, free Palestine. Then you find out about the protesters, and you say, were these all students at Columbia last year and a few months ago? And the answer is no. For example, the cover of the New York Post, you could see it now. If not, I'll hold it up, has a 20-year-old, and this 20-year-old was on campus creating havoc, saying anti-Semitic phrases, punching Jewish kids in the face, and he is directly contacted and supported by Hamas overseas. He has the flag over him. He's been arrested, I assume going to be deported, if not jailed here. And he was part of the unrest. College age, but not a...
The claim that is now being advanced is that this student at Columbia University was in a fucking group chat with Abu Ubaidah. Okay? I'm sorry. This is one of the most... This is just adding on to the insanity. Okay? Notice how he's like, look at him wearing the flag, as though what? Like wearing the Palestinian flag is now illegal? Like, what the fuck's going on there? Okay? I suspect what they mean is he was following the Telegram communique channel for Hamas. That is not a fucking group chat with Abu Ubaidah. Okay? It's like following... If there was an Instagram account for Hamas, for example, and you follow that Instagram, it's like saying, oh, he was following the Instagram of Abu Ubaidah, which means Abu Ubaidah was directly talking to him. Incredible stuff. Let's take a look.
A college kid up in Columbia.
Jew hater, contemplating setting a student on fire. Direct links to Hamas. He was chatting with this Hamas group on social media. Awaits trial, indicted on 3 federal hate crimes against Jewish people, and wore a green headband worn by Hamas.
And a mask.
So after October 7th, the show sent me to all these college campuses. And I'm asking all these students who are protesters, they say they're protesters, you know, about October 7th.
I'm dating Jennifer Aniston on Twitter. Yeah, exactly. No, the most likely outcome here, the most likely way that they're trying to massage the narrative here is that he was in a Telegram. He was in one of these Telegram channels that is followed by, you know, hundreds of thousands of people that will post communiques from Hamas, like statements from Hamas, which, by the way, many journalists also follow. The claim that following one of these Telegram channels is one directly putting you in contact with Abu Ubaidah is insane. Okay? That is also a very dangerous claim that the Department of Justice is advancing. As in, if you follow people that the Department of Justice considers dangerous people, terrorists, threats to American security, then automatically that is a prosecutable offense is insane to me. The government, in the simplest terms, is follow policing, but now with the actual fucking police. So now it's literal follow policing. Yes, news agencies follow these channels as well. I follow a lot of Telegram channels the government definitely knows about and does nothing about because they're also feds like the Patriot Front clowns. Exactly.
7th. What about what they did to babies? What about the hostages? And they're all denying it. We're like, man.
Regardless, this guy very clearly was an anti-Semitic piece of shit. The evidence is uncontroverted as to this. Yeah. Also, being an anti-Semitic piece of shit is not prosecutable unless it is unless it's a factor in a crime. Like, what are we talking about? Following Abu Ubaidah on Telegram is also not a crime.
Man, they sound like little Hamas, right? Well, come to find out they are. A lot of the leaders are. Now, there are some naive kids, but I think we've got to be smart as a country. Either we're going to be little Gaza or we're going to be America. But we can't have people going down Midtown Manhattan or going downtown where they attack the towers with keffiyehs with the flags of Hamas calling for a caliphate. It just doesn't make any sense. And we keep saying First Amendment, First Amendment, First Amendment. Where do we draw the line? If the people say...
Dude, it's look at Fox News. First Amendment, First Amendment, First Amendment. Where do we draw the line? Remember, for years, these guys said that It's free speech to be able to say the N-word. It's free speech to be able to protest as a fucking neo-Nazi. And there is nothing you can say or do. You're being too woke. You are being too woke if you say college campuses should not be safe havens for neo-Nazis, right? You're too woke. At no point was there any government enforcement upon neo-Nazis, by the way. At no point was there any real government enforcement. And even outside of a severe lack of government enforcement, they still complain. Now they are demanding government enforcement, which is unironically an actual violation of the First Amendment. There was government protection for neo-Nazis against anti-fascists. These guys constantly cut propaganda. Mia Khalifa on Hasanabi soon. Wait, where did that come from? I was just DMing her about possibly having her on. Yeah. Where the fuck did that come from? That's crazy. Leaked? No, I mean, I don't know how the fuck the chatter knew that. That's crazy. Shot in the dark and you folded? No, I mean, it's not. That's crazy that chatter just like randomly brought that up out of nowhere.
Sound like terrorists are saying that they want to destroy the country. Shouldn't we be?
How did you get her number? I didn't. She's followed me for a very long time, and I DM'd her. I followed her for a very long time as well. Anyway,
Be able to arrest them? I think yes.
Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, who teaches at Stanford and is running the Hoover Institute, said this about what she's seeing at elite institutions.
Let me say, universities have made a lot of mistakes, including in the way that reacting to October 7th. You know, our kids chant from the river to the sea. Some of them don't know from what river to what sea. And so we have failed in terms of educating them about the Middle East, educating them about history, where we still talk about oppressors and oppressed, colonizers and colonized. The scientific research base of the United States of America is the research university. We made that decision 80 years ago. We don't have a plan B. And so I am a major believer in making sure that we are able to continue the kind of research that produced the stem cell revolution, that produced, actually at Stanford, the double helix, that produced the heart transplant. We just have to make sure, especially at a time when we are being challenged by China along the technological front.
Dr. Rice is totally right, Brian, and she makes a strong case. But
Universities
universities have to decide. Either they're going to commit themselves to the research and saving lives, or they're going to commit themselves to the anti-American Hamas rhetoric going after Jews on college campuses. But either you want to be activists or you want to be scientists. But you can't do both and get our money.
Yeah, they're all complaining. You're taking away our research money, cancer research.
dude, what the fuck? They're literally advocating to undermine higher education as this government is currently doing, while simultaneously saying, and yeah, you can't actually do, you can't just do higher education because you're too invested in defending Hamas or something. Like, what is happening? You're the guys who are saying that Harvard is Hamas word now, and therefore we have to take away all the fucking grants. Oh, my brain is hurting from trying to explain what's going on here. What do they want these universities to do? They all called the cops to have them beat the shit out of the protesters anyway. I know. I guess they just want the universities to, like, well, I mean, Israel and anti-Semitism especially is just simply a talking point to actually enforce whatever kind of control they want to have over institutions of higher education. It's not real, okay? It's not a real concern. It's fucking completely made up. Maybe there are some hysterical people who legitimately believe that it is like, as a Jewish student, you'll be assassinated on Columbia campus or whatever the fuck, okay? You know, you can't deal with people's hysteria, unfortunately. Okay, there's nothing you could do about people just hallucinating this alternative reality. But the reason why the administration is using this as an entry point is because they want to, one, undermine the First Amendment protections, and two, they want to basically control institutions of higher education. That's it. They're just using anti-Semitism as a way to enforce this, because anti-Semitism and combating anti-Semitism has a lot of institutional power. And part of the reason why it has a lot of institutional power is because combating anti-Semitism has been the way that pro-Israel groups have been able to defend the interests of Israel, which aligns with the American State Department. That's the same reason why there is no combating white supremacy groups that are as powerful, seemingly. Because if combating anti-Semitism was the primary responsibility of these institutions, then it would be cast aside, just like combating white supremacy is cast aside. It is not about anti-Semitism at all. It is about Israel. It is about American foreign policy. It's that simple. Like, think about how little influence anti-racist initiatives have, as opposed to how much influence anti-Semitism, how much influence and how much control, seemingly, groups that task themselves with combating anti-Semitism have. Think about that. Why is it? Is it because Jews are a special status that are a monolithic force and that everybody cares about Jews? No. It's because all of those groups don't give a fuck about Jews at all. They just care about Israel. And Israel is an incredibly important part of America's project in the fucking region. You think any of these rich white assholes give a fuck about any kind of bigotry? They're bigoted themselves, including but not limited to anti-Semitism. That's it. If there was a settler colony out there, Liberia style, okay, but like actually fucking effective in undermining the interests of like whatever kind of revolutionary groups that exist in the fucking area, then and all of these like anti-black racism advocacy groups were actually protecting that settler colony and its domination of the region, yeah, then also anti-black racism would also have a lot of institutional prominence. Is that simple?
Then don't be silent about this. Silence leads to violence. If you want that money, you got to follow.
Look how woke they are. Silence leads to violence. Your silence is deafening.
The law. You can't allow terrorism to happen on your campus.
And don't sue the president. You sued the president, double and triple and down. Now you're going through the courts. Now it's a brawl. So that's what the president, that's what the former Secretary of State said.
Woke MAGA, baby. Soy right. Ugh. Gross, dude. Fucking gross.